there is a shift or a deepening taking place in this class. It's not that it's unfamiliar, but it is bigger and more multidimensional than I've ever experienced it before. It's a new language based on an old language. It's a dialogue and an interaction and a connectivity with each of you, which is more of a direct connection to Source than I have experienced before. I don't understand the connection, nor is it meant to be understood. I can only tell you that when I sit with each of you, there is a probing or a realization, a revelation, an opening to something very real and very much you. I spoke last week about how we are all points of connection, if you will, to the source of our being, to ourself. But most of those points of connection are very obscured or very hard to access. Most people on the planet Earth have no concept. They get close sometimes listening to music, looking at their children, hearing a crow outside the window. There are signals, there are things that bring us into something that feels very special, very awake, very connected, like something is speaking to us. We have a sense of being, a ground of being that is so important and so in alignment and so affirming and so gentle and so agreeable that something in us in that moment feels connected. It just feels yes, like there's a big yes that occurs. It's a yes that is something we seek every day and almost never find it. It creeps up on us, but looking for it is hard. And it's hard because it's not exactly out there. It's something out there that shoots you inward, that brings you to a place of aesthetic awakening, of beauty, of knowing, of truth, of a huge yes to your own existence. Meditation is a doorway that you can walk through. Meditation, sitting still, being at one with yourself for a short period of time, begins the deepening of that channel, or the rising of that channel, however you want to look at it, into something profoundly familiar and yet so far beyond your norm. And yet it takes you in. It takes you in, and it says yes to you and your life. I know this sounds abstract, but I can only tell you that finding an alignment with yourself, finding an alignment to who you are, is why we're here. Being someone or something that channels or allows this direct exchange between the self and the formulation of manifested being is everything. There is that which knows you better than you can possibly ever imagine. There is that which is aware of every microsecond of your being, that is with you on this journey through this universal manifested experience that we call our lives. When this life begins to leave you, which it will, this channel will be the thing that's left. This thing will bring you back into yourself. And the realization will come that you were never separate from that self. Never. Not for 1 millisecond were you ever separate from yourself. And how you lived your life is exceedingly accountable. You get away with nothing. You are either a pure expression of being, or you are blindly living a life of complete delusion, separation, ignorance, suffering, false appearances, which is the source of great pain for most people. Finding your way back to yourself is the liberating element of spiritual practice. Finding your way back to that which you never left. Finding your way back to that which has never left you. Discovering how intimately interwoven it is with your microseconds of life. You are an expression of infinite being, infinite wisdom, God consciousness, higher awareness. And if you are not feeling that, if you are not living in that awareness, something isn't in play. Most people do not know what I'm talking about. And it's not wrong. It's not a bad thing. We've been given a bit of a rule book for how to function in material life. I always refer to it, as to many others, as the 10 Commandments. Certain rules for how to behave down here in this manifested world. If you follow the rules, you will live a life that will be an expression of something greater. Thou shalt have no other God before me. Honor your mother and your father. Don't steal, don't kill, on and on. Do those things, and this life that you're in, which you have been given as an enormous gift, will be lived well. But it's hard road, and once you have crossed the boundaries of those commandments, you are in real darkness. You're really in trouble. And the road back from trouble is hard. And most of us don't know how to get back. Don't even know that there is a back to get back from. But I'm telling you, sit still, be quiet, and let this inner language begin to express itself. Learn to hear it. Learn to allow it to move through you, and it will guide you back, no matter how badly you have misconstrued things, no matter how ignorant you've been, no matter how many commandments you have broken. It will take you back in and lift you up and carry you into the space from which you emerged, and it will allow you ultimate forgiveness, ultimate love, ultimate caring. It is totally compassionate, and it gets how hard it is. It gets how easy it is to screw up. This thing takes you back. The horrible thing is how few people know how to be uplifted, know how to be able to give themselves over to this forgiving force, this loving force. Once you hate yourself, once you deny yourself, once you create this incredible cocoon of misery for yourself, getting through that is really hard. Really hard. This idea of prayer helps. Pray for something out there to come and recognize you and hear you and enter into you. It works. Meditation works. Sitting still allows you to let go of all of the mind drama that sustains all of that stuff, and it allows you to begin to rise back into the stillness that loves and embraces you. It's very painful to observe a world in which people are as lost as people are in our world. And it is amazing for me to sit here and to work with each of you and to witness what it means to share a dialogue, to share a universe with each other that actually is connecting and working. It is working. Every one of you, each of you here, is sitting deeply enough to allow this stillness and love to enter into you and to begin to unravel all of the little pieces that are blocking you and obstructing you in your real release of narrative, release of story, release of the drama that traps you. Each one of you is working your way out of that, and I feel it in you. I feel the miracle of transmission, of going into you and having you go, okay, basically giving permission to the universe to free you of your drama, to free you of your story, to free you of your stuff. It's hard to express how dark it can get inside. And it's also hard to express that the road to light is so available, so within you. It so responds to your asking for it. It so responds to your making yourself available to it. You are the ingredient. You are the thing that has to say yes to what is. You have to find the power of trust. You have to find the power of surrender. Only you can do it. Nobody else can do it. You know, I can't give it to you. Nobody can give it to you. The great teachers can't give it to you. They can only lead you into a place that says, okay, I'm willing to hand myself over to this higher knowing, this higher directive, this thing that is so powerful and so potent and so present all the time, and to let yourself be an expression of that. And then you become a point of contact for the universe in manifested space. You become a ray of light in a world of darkness. You become that which lifts people up. You become that which gives joy and meaning and purpose and value to lives that often seem valueless or purposeless or meaningless. And I mean you. each of you. We're each here training in a way to become, what's the word? Saintly, kindly, compassionate, loving beings. That's what we're here for. You're sitting here. Each one of you is already in play. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting here. You are here because you are available. You are ready. You have presented yourself. And I know there's a voice in your head goes, me? I don't know. Maybe he's talking to somebody else. But that's not true. I'm talking to each of you because you have already presented yourself to this exceedingly brilliant, wise, ancient, universal reality that you are. The potency of this connection is increasing. It's only going upward, and it's only getting bigger. It's reaching further down, it's expanding wider, but it is really entering the world. And not just through this channel, or not just through your channels, but through multiple channels, everywhere. This thing is making itself known, and it will bring an incredible amount of upward movement, lifting up, a kind of a rising toward clarity and reality and simplicity and perhaps joy and beauty. And we will start to see through all of the illusionary falseness of the lives we are caught up in. We are beginning to have new eyes, in a way, new ears, new ways of seeing and feeling. They are going to be challenging. I'm finding it challenging. I find feeling as much as I'm feeling overwhelming. I barely know how to survive day to day, the bigness of what seems to be happening, the letting go of things that I didn't even know one could let go of, because it requires, for it to fulfill its own self, it needs there to be less of our ignorance, less of our sense of attachment, less of our sense of, but what about me? It needs that to dissipate. And it is real work. It's real breathtaking. In that sense, take your breath. And it's breathtaking in terms of what it offers, what it gives back. I know this whole talk has a kind of inarticulate aspect, and I don't know what to say about it. I can only tell you I am trying to reach for this thing. And I know, look at my hands above my head. Can the camera, I don't know if you see that. It's right here. It's right here. And I can actually touch it and feel it. And I can feel it come down. And I can feel it enter and fill the space. And I can feel it move out toward you. I feel it. I feel it moving in every direction. I feel it moving into the corners of your being. I feel the parts of you that are terrified of it. And I feel how to go in and go, it's okay. The way I hug my grandson when he pokes a sword in his ear. God knows why he pokes a sword in his ear. But he does, and I can comfort that. And I can figure out all the swords that you're putting in your ears and your head and your noses and all these stupid things. And I can go in there and go, it's okay. There's this feeling. And I don't mean I, Bruce. I don't mean that. There's this connectivity. There's this light. There's this knowing that enters the world through us. And there's no personalization of it. To make it personal diminishes it. The more you get out of the way, the more it functions. And each one of you can, if you want, learn to get out of the way and be a servant of your true self. Let yourself enter and be and express itself honestly, continually, openly, lovingly to everyone. And it will come through in a million different ways, and it may come through as anger, and it may come through as confusion, and it may come through as articulate, and it may come through as inarticulate. It doesn't matter. Let it through. Let it through. It's working its wonder. It has a way of getting at each person according to the way it needs to be heard. And you won't understand it. You don't know why it is coming through you like that. Why did you say that to somebody? Because you needed to say it. It needed to be done. It happens because it needs to happen. And you are a vehicle for it happening. We are all vehicles. And what are we doing? We are entering into a world now that is in a state of, we all know, anyone who cares to look at it, it's a state of total newness, confusion, not what it was, not what it kind of supposed to be, not the way we're used to it. It's clearly going through some kind of alteration. You know, so you could say the nature's getting angry at mankind. You could say that, you know, we're in a state of great upheaval. Yes, all of that's going on. Where's the stabilizing force? You are the stabilizing force. You are it. Nobody else. Don't look to somebody outside you. Don't look to politicians. Don't look to teachers to stabilize the world. You are that. And to find that stabilizing space, you have to dig deep into your being and allow your being to funnel back out and fill the world with your truth. Your truth. Not your personal truth, although that's a part of it and a real part of it, but your deeper underlying truth, which transcends who you are as a person, as somebody located in time and space. This is not in time and it's not in space. This is infinite, endless, vital awareness that knows what it is, who it is, and how to function through you, with you, and in spite of you. Be that thing, be that channel, be that person, and work toward it. I mean, really work toward it. And what it requires is a sense of profound surrender that Rudy talked about all the time. It's not a casual word, surrender. It's an essential word. Let go of you. Let go of your choices, your desire, your need, and let the universe guide you into its choices and its needs, and you will be totally served by that. And then you just have to trust that this is working. Trust it. And the thing that doesn't trust it is exactly the thing that needs to be let go of. The thing that is afraid to trust is the thing you have to go beyond. You have to keep leaping forward in spite of this fearful aspect, this doubting aspect. You have to keep going, thy will be done, and move into the next moment of your life. Over and over and over and over. And that's what we're being called to do. And it's hard, and I will tell you from my own perspective, every time I think I get it, it gets bigger. Every time I think I know what to do or I've done all I've needed to do, no. It's more. It's more and more and more and more. And the more you let go, the bigger it is and the bigger you are. And yes, you may not be articulate and you may not find the actual way to express what this inexpressible thing is, but it's okay. Be real with it. Be real. Feel the gut level universe that wants to make itself known. It's so big. It's so vast. It's so infinite. It's so real. And it's so you. You are not a person floating around in the United States of America. You just are not that. I know it sounds like that. You know, you live in Marin County or somewhere nearby here. You know, you think you're this or you're that. You are, but that's the tip of there's a little tip of a vast iceberg of what you truly are. And not to know that until the moment you die, which is when you discover it usually. Not to know it until then, it's not enough. It is. I mean, it's enough for most people. And it's the way it works for most people. But you're here because you know there's more and you have access to it. And it has access to you, and it's working in two directions. You're working toward it, it's working toward you. And it will be a gift to everyone who ever knows you. You guys, you have no idea. The opening of the gift is like Christmas morning all the time for people who know you. If you sit there and just let this thing happen, You will deliver and deliver and deliver. You will be the greatest thing imaginable for people around you. And it will be subtle, it'll be quiet, it may not even be appreciated, but it will be there. People will walk away from being with you and they will go, that was so sweet. Boy, they're nice, I love that person. That's the least of it. The bigger version of it is, can you tell me what it is you know about life? What is it you know that I don't understand? Why are you so, whatever, connected and I'm not connected? And that's a great moment. And then you can just take their hand or just sit with them and go, you are connected. You are. You are the thing you're looking for. It's not me, it's you. And you can begin to do this little connective tissue thing where you lift them into knowing. And you won't even know how to do it, but you'll do it. You'll do it because of who you are, because of your openness, because of your availability, because of your connection. You will do it. Like I say all the time, to the person sitting next to you on the plane, the person at the supermarket, you will help them in this upreaching, unfolding of self. I went to the opera the other night, saw Turandot, which was when I was working in the ashram in Bloomington. I was working in a wine and cheese store, and we had radio on in the background, and I could hear this opera happening, and I don't know what happened, but I went, I left the counter, I left the cash register. I went to stand by the speaker at the back of the store, and I just stood there, and I went, this is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. And I could barely walk back to the counter. I just got so struck by how beautiful it was. I went back to my room that afternoon or that evening in the ashram, and this friend, Tony Stern, brought me a box. His grandfather had passed away and had a collection of operas on 33 and third albums. And Turandot was the first one. And I put it on, and again, the beauty of this just overwhelmed me. And I've made various trips to hear it in different places, and in each case, something truly magical would occur, that I would be hearing music that came from somewhere beyond the earth. At least it felt to me like Puccini had touched something that feels like what it feels like when I'm meditating. It's that feeling of beauty and simplicity and richness and expansiveness, and it comes right into me. And the other night we went to see it again, and this time I just was like, every moment I kept saying, this is God speaking. The beauty was unending. And I started thinking about this friend of mine named Jerry Mandel in Bloomington, who right after I got that album, I brought him into my room and said, I've got to play you this aria. I've got to play you this aria. It's just so beautiful. And I put it on, and he listened to it. And I could feel he was picking it up, and I just shared it with him. And so while I was sitting in the opera the other night, I'm thinking, wow, I remember sitting with Jerry, offering him this moment. And the two of us had this exchange that was so beautiful. So I got home and I wrote him. And I said, you won't believe what happened. I was sitting in the opera the other night, and I remembered as so vividly being in the room with you, sharing this moment. And he wrote me back, he says, you're not going to believe this. I was listening to Turandot yesterday, and I was thinking about you and how you introduced me to this beauty 40 years ago. We're actually going to Bloomington on Friday, and I'm going to see Jerry, and we'll have this moment. I don't know if you can feel all the reverberations and all the layers that are at play here, but that's how it works, guys. That's how it works. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't even ask. I can only tell you, beauty begets beauty. It gets shared. It comes back in ways that you will never understand. but they just affirm and acknowledge the magic, the beauty, the vast infinite interaction and interconnectedness of the universe. We're all part of it. We are just all part of it. And it should work like that all the time. That's how we know. That's when the universe says to us, you're doing fine. You're doing what you should be doing. And that's all we need. You know? Good job. Good job. Proud of you. That's what we're looking for as human beings. You want to leave this world with the universe going, you did it. You don't need anything more than that. You really don't. You will not believe how powerful that is. And the only way to get to that grade point is just let go and let go and let go and let go, and don't hold on to anything, and you will realize that that good job is the resonant sound of what the universe has to offer. Good job. You did it. Or in present tense, you're doing it. Live it. Live it. When you live it like that, every sound is part of the whole. It all magnifies itself. You know, presence and absence. You know, I mean, some of the most beautiful music is the moment when there's no sound. Sometimes you're listening to music and there's a pause, and that pause is like the doorway into infinity. And then the music comes back, and you go, yes to everything, to the absence and the presence, to the beauty and the nothing. All of that playing out at the same time, and something in you realizes that is you. And you let go, and you let go, and you let go, and you become the witness of and the channel for that truth, beauty, love that exists. So, I know it's hard for me to talk about this now because it's becoming less and less explainable, but it's there. It's just there. And every one of you today was touching it. Every one of you was touching it and being touched. Use that to inform your life going forward. Be touched and touch. And that's all you have to do. Thank you. Any questions? I think we've explained this, but Blanche and I are going out of town for 3 weeks. Strange trip, really strange trip. We'll be in Bloomington this weekend, Moscow the next weekend for Ghost, Big Indian third weekend for a retreat, then I'll be back here. While we're gone, if you could teach the first weekend, if you could teach the second weekend, third weekend. Okay? Great. Anyway, thank you guys. Really, oops, yeah.
Do you have any talks then at Bloomingdale when you're in, for the next 2 weeks, will you have talks on Sunday?
I don't know, maybe. Maybe. Not in Russia.
Well, you did when you were in London.
I did a little bit like that. Yeah, no, but Big Indian, I definitely, I do 4 talks in Big Indian, and it's a little bit of overkill on some level, and but they'll be available, I think, and I don't think you need any more talks in the end. I mean, God knows, I don't know what more to say. This thing has been talked to death, and it's not about words in the end. I mean, I keep trying to find words, but now I'm finding it harder and harder because it's so fundamentally, essentially unspeakable. It's just energetic. It's just purely energetic. I gotta say, the dialogue I'm having with you in class is of a higher nature than anything words can get at. It's so direct, it's so immediate, it so goes to the core of each of your needs, and it makes itself heard. And it touches the thing, and I know when it gets touched, and I know when it's exploding, and I know when it's opening, and I go, yes, like the great culmination of a symphony, and I move on to the next symphony. That's exactly what it feels like. It's more musical than verbal. It's so beautiful. It's so exquisite. It's even beyond music, because I don't know music, but I know when a great triumphant choral piece is happening in my head. I know when the moment of the chord getting struck. I know when the kettle drums go, and I can feel it. And it's not even musical. It's just the universe delivering itself. It's so exquisite. It's so exquisite. And for someone like me without any musicality to experience it, I know it's available. I know it's available to everybody. We each find our own language, or our own version of the language, but we each have it. We each do. And I'm finding in my photographs that that language is speaking to me visually, and I'm dreaming about it. And that's my language. Other people will write a poem, or they will just stop and look at a flower, and that's the language is speaking. We each have to find what's the language for us. What is it? Listen deeply, look deeply, feel deeply. It comes. It's not hidden. We just are distracted. Get rid of the distraction, and it's right there, always right there. And that's what's so magical about it. It's like, it was always there. It was always in front of me, always, beyond. And we don't see it. And when you do see it, it changes everything. Everything. So good luck, everybody. Love you all.